do is have the roll call first. Yeah, he's record it, please.
Here. Councilor City. Councilor 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 Smith. Mayor.
Would you all please stand with me and join us in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is one of these occasions where I have a tremendous honor of swearing in a new police officer. The chief of the program. The first one is come right up here. It's okay? What's that? Okay, very good.
They should be here. They're ready.
This is a great moment. We've been expanding our police officer, being police officers here for some time now. And I'd like to go ahead and swear you in. And I'd like you to repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Scott Rothrock,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will uphold the law
that I will uphold the law
and support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Oregon.
and support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Oregon.
I will abide by the law enforcement code of ethics
I will abide by the law enforcement code of ethics
and the department rules and regulations
and the department rules and regulations
while faithfully performing my duties as a reserve police officer
while faithfully performing my duties as a reserve police officer
for Oregon City, Oregon.
for Oregon City, Oregon.
This oath is given on the 6th day, July 2011, and you don't have to repeat that. It's something I get to say. Welcome to the city police force. I appreciate it. Do you want to say some words?
Scott is an educated aide who was a SCP high school and graduated from Oregon State University. Currently works for Northwest STEM Services as an educator. She's a 2011 graduate of the Clackamas County Dairy Agency Food Academy, and we're eager and thought shooter runner in the academy. So we're really glad to have him come over. But previously was a should have been the Clackamas County Sheriff Office. So we really appreciate his work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have a pen handy? Thank you. I'll go ahead and sign this and pass it to you. Yourselves. There you are. And is there somebody want to take pictures as I pass them on? If you want to take a picture with me, I'll use the picture. Yes, ready? He responded to the roll call anyway.
There you go.
Thank you very much. The next thing before us, I had the opportunity to bring a proclamation. It's the designation of July as Parks and Recreation. These Parks and Recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Oregon City, whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to the establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of the community and region. Whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase the community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses and crime reduction, and whereas parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas the parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers, development, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors, whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas Oregon City recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now I, therefore, Doug Neely, Mayor of Oregon City, do proclaim July 2011 as Park and Recreation Month. And when this thereof, I hereby set my hand the 6th day of July 2011, which means I'm going to sign this. And we do have I think, a very good parks and recreation program. And part of our program involves a summer program, which Scott Usher, who is with our community services, but is in fact in charge of our park and recreations program, might want to make an announcement of this particular point.
We'd love to. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor and Commissioners and community members for in relation to the proclamation that you just read, Mr. Mayor. We have a number of ways for our community members to enjoy our parks and recreation amenities, and in the month of July, as you just proclaimed, it's Parks and Recreation Month, and we have, of course, a number of parks and a number of summer recreation activities. We have the Rivercrest Spray Park is open and is being well utilized. We'll soon be reopening the Carnegie Library Park spray facility, and that will be, I think, a welcome addition back to the Parks and Rec offerings. Probably our marquee event is our Summer Concerts in the Park series, which has been going on for a number of years, and that kicks off tomorrow night. And we'd like to invite everybody to be there. That is at the Carnegie Library Park site on the back side of the Carnegie building. The food and activities begin at 5:30, and the concert kicks off at 6:30, and then that goes every Thursday night through the end of August. Tomorrow night is the Willamette Falls Symphony. And then each week thereafter, we have a different act or a different band and a variety of different types of music from week to week. So we'd hope everybody will come out. And I think, Mr. Mayor, you'll be making some announcements at those concerts and emceeing those before we kick those off. So, yeah, thanks for the opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, it's a great program. There's been increased donations, I believe, that it could be coming from the business community, and at one point I don't want to say subsidized because the program is supported, but we have a grant program that was contributing to that concert series, but we've had a number of businesses that have stepped up and are funding a good portion of those activities, so it's really community.
Tremendous support from a number of our local businesses and organizations to keep that going every year.
And thank you, Scott. We have a presentation from Jackie Ann Williams on the farmers market. Is she here? I don't think she is. Okay. With that, she's got the farmers market going.
She might be just a little late. She's
She's got the farmers market going. It's on which street number? 8th Street. 8th Street. She's on the side of the farmers market going on the farmers parking lots too. So she's done a great job. So when the time comes, we'll have her come up and speak. This is the time for citizens' comments. Up to 3 minutes to present information relevant to the city, not necessarily related items on the agenda. We'll cover those later. As a general practice, the city commission does not immigration discussions before I was making comments. Prior to speaking, citizens should fill out a form with a city recorder. And actually, I think we located back there and we can bring them forward and have them in. And please begin by stating your name and whether or not you live in the city of Oregon City. Do we have someone that can live in the city? And yes, I ask Paul Jones and Terry Hamilton to come forward, please. Councilor Terry Hamilton. Go ahead and sit down and speak at the mic. You can come up too and sit down, when Paul is done, you can go ahead. Paul?
Good evening, my name is Paula Jones, and I just want to express the very good experience that I've had since I moved to Oregon. I'm not a big city person, so I started out in Portland and kind of eased on down into the smaller communities, and now I am a resident of Oregon City, and I really love it. I've been well received, the people are very warm, and it's really been a blessing. It's been a very positive experience. And one of the concerns is that recently my car was ticketed, and I understand that there is some type of, I don't know, something that they have in Portland that says, please do not ticket my car. I'm a resident, on this street. So it's one of the reasons why I'm here. First of all, to express that, I've been very comfortable while I've lived here. And then also because my neighbor had some type of altercation, I want to support that situation and make sure that he's properly treated. So I'd like to just express that I understand that there is an exempt tag that is presently being used in Portland, and that as residents here, of course, we live here, we work here, but there is some type of conflict on parking in front of your house. And I'd like to just address that.
Thank you. Terry, are you up on this?
Well, it's a little bit more involved in that. I'm Terry Hamilton. I do live in Oregon City over here on Center Street. I just like to let you know that my husband and I are victims of colonial flood 3 times over. First time was in May of 2007 where we lost several thousands of dollars. We had a railway threatened at $360 a day for forced compliance. And again, at the start of elections, they threatened our landlord with $900 for our cars and forced total automobiles from the streets within 2 weeks. And I think that's flagrant harassment, which we did put a complaint with the ACLU. The third time, it was violent confrontation, to say the least, and it broke a lot of laws. And I was standing next to a van, our truck was booted. And it's not even a truck, it's our van was booted. And they booted it, and the city employee was the criminal, threatened my husband verbally to kill him. And I think that is really uncalled for a city employee. And I'm not really appreciative of that. And that was with David Rowe, and he was the co-enforcer who backed him up. And then there was another witness, besides myself, there's actually 2 witnesses. They're not here today. One doesn't want to remain anonymous, and the other one will come forward if that's necessary. And I signed an agreement with my husband and some other people that we have talked with for we're going to reform of code enforcement. We're asking for planning, and we want a study of facts to be presented to you, the City Council, and a consideration for reform. And I think it's unjust. And I see there are a lot of people who have been unjustly involved with this, and we want reform.
James Hamilton, you want to speak now? No, I'll hold off on down holidays and ask a question after this of our staff. Sorry. Yes, used to see a whole million. First and foremost, service to the people down the earth of office and performance in accordance. We believe that reporting back to basics is required. Also, as judges of the American to represent the common people of God, you see the president of our government security for the proper enforcement of motor vehicle laws and the violation of the we present this petition for quick consideration. Many people requested a complete reform of all the city code enforcement departments. That's all of them. There is a total reform back to basics and back to business for accountability as it should go for the good of the people. This is not the reason why requesting the escalation of actions against the people being reported. The number of people on the south and the free victim of code enforcement. I personally spoke and listened to many freedom victims, so we have signed the petition for reform of all city code enforcement. The general assembly of the county board of appeals and county for the proper enforcement of motor vehicle laws established by Richard Lewis Cody, ODOT, with a civilian Roberts advocate for the people is this. After comparison for 50 years of documentation and questions history extensive research time, this crossroads of truth today. And I begin to make a proposal to change and let the laws of the judge. I believe that the city citizens are elected laws of the judge position and the city question with good results. When the rules to support their right to take on the reign and to the possible questions over the purpose to select and direct the people, as it should be by a repeated contribution is essential for the good of the people. I think the rights of the judge is a pretty big assurance to the pleasure of the commission, which will discharge the rights of the judge with any explanation of the opinion. Right now, I want to go up into action. That's the way to the proper place system, not a court record. There's no good process or record in this prison system. Now, this matters and show the way to compare the one understand what we're doing before that's concerned. We're some of that letter to David Fraser, by the way. Therefore, I want to come out and say, we're going to petition 27 plus signatures required person to say a bill. And to point out that people are wearing the same coffee for judicial welfare. One or two. I think it's really the separate for the living for the building for the student city administration and the touchdown and the the land and the enforcement practices. I think we're expanding the neighborhood to the city code enforcement department. The courts, the county, the lawyers, the proper information is the practices presented in the public court to the common people of all the city to the areas of 2011. This is the practices of every part of the result of justice and equality of work and living people. These people are prepared to expect and investigate orders and investigate leaders, research, scholar evidence, and prepare evidence and forms comparison and select the citizen of what they're doing for practice and decision of war. This compares to the first class and what happens in the city and research and promise to have corruption out. That's what we're going to do about uptown that we have found we have found change from tyranny to sedition. We will have people and people and ideas and request for the law for the city council for the federal and legal law and open powers to 2008 with the particulars of law, the forces, presenting the field for residents and residents of the affected persons and the size of person and the discriminatory and provincial taxes being recorded. The county council has been the customers to go into the county and witnesses to back up all of the city. The first to them for the good of the people, and all the way to the city council will uphold the court of reckless and decision. The Congress has completed the political laws. The election is the only person in the election. How the corrupt and will never be satisfied. Vision is free. Thank you. I got a couple of questions. I believe in which the North Auckland neighborhood do we not have 24-hour permits that can be issued to residents? That was the case in the past. I presume so.
I will have to, I'm not 100% sure, but there are some areas where some residential types of permits can be applied for. I don't believe it's the entire McLaughlin neighborhood though. It's where there are certain restricted parking areas in front of residents.
Well, we've got a lot of homes which do not have driveways, do not have garages, especially in the older neighborhoods. And I think those permits were intended to alleviate that particular burden on people that sitting in those houses were not required to have driveways.
Again, I'll have to verify that, but there are some allowances for those types of things.
If you check out before our next commission meeting, and if there are other areas that we're not partnering with those permits too, I'd like to know about that. The other question was kind of surprising to me, that there's no basis of appeals. Can the decisions be appealed, can they not? To the circuit court?
Yes, it can be to the circuit court.
So when that is the area of appeal, the municipal judge is separate from the rest of the city. So an appeal of a decision on the part of the a municipal judge would not come to the city commission, but it could go to the circuit court, is that right?
And if I remember right, municipal court is not a court of record, which means that you get a trial anew, a brand new trial in the circuit court. It's not an appeal where the circuit court judge sits in appellate review of what the court did.
So, I'm not saying this is all your issues, but there are issues, yeah. Yes, come on up if you want to.
I want one personal resolve, if you don't mind.
I'm a vision, it's called a vision deal, and the pictures of it. And it was never done, so it's a children of the series made by John Lewis from North America, the same vehicle stretches to the point of program being a direct damage road ban that you can share with the municipal requires the entire series of business. The description of first like these American Chinese American airfield, not between the single and one doing the scapegoats by the range capacity first to show what and when and the final question of holding capacities. Shadows and damage of the same thing. The description of the van, the number of franchise, the first one is being used as a range, bison vehicle as a breakdown path for the soil of the range truck campus in the Bureau does not qualify as light duty. It's actually the class under that. I don't understand the space plan of the first section of the class by the major soil, etc. I would just request my van back tomorrow, please.
We have a court case here, I don't get it back.
All right.
Well, it is a reminder to me the place to try a case is in a courtroom, not here. I mean, we really don't have all the facts, and I don't know that I have all the facts. And actually, it's much more. I mean, when you think about a person's rights here, we're not even set up to recognize and fully protect people regarding their rights when they're testifying here. They're not under oath. We're not under oath. So we do have a judicial system there to protect people and make sure that they get a fair hearing and that all sides, all parties in the litigation actually have a chance to express that. And once the summons is issued by one of our officers, we really hope that people will access the judicial system and use it to their advantage.
On the 24-hour permit thing, I don't know that all residents are aware of that opportunity that, do not have access, so we might want to check into that.
It sounds like Mr. Archer is going to research that, and we'll report back at the next council meeting. And if there isn't an opportunity like that, then we'll investigate that further and maybe bring that back to the commission for an amendment to the ordinance to provide that.
Mr. Hall, I assume you're all part of the same discussion, so that's what
That's fine.
So it's just an emergency.
I did get a couple of parking tickets and I wasn't aware of a parking pass deal, so that's just a heads up. Supported in the Uptown Road project, and I'm probably disappointed in the leadership that was exhibited and the lack of forward thinking by certain members of the commission. I think that had we been a little more open to, the realities of business and the realities of commerce, that we could embrace what was going to happen and bring jobs to this community. And I think it's I think it's a serious lack of leadership, and I just felt like I needed to come up and tell you that.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone who go to the discussion of city's managers report or not?
About the rivers?
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty well been covered in the last year, so I'm not sure if you want anything that's not already been said.
Okay. I'm going to vote for prayer as long as you don't beat us up. I'm looking forward and I can say something.
Well, I do have another citizen comment.
Don't be sitting on the last one we spoke before. The last one is there. But if it's not on the agenda, this is the time to speak, because if it's not on the agenda, we're going to up at that time, but we usually don't go back and pick up comments unless it's at this time. Are you okay?
Change of an acquisition right now at the moment.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. No one will get up on us. Did you get to say who you are too?
Requesting funds to be set up at 2 retail markets, at which point we thank the commission. I requested that they come back to report on those 2 markets and how they went. So, this is a total private thing to talk about markets. And I don't have any minutes or whatever I have here. Okay, so cut me off, Kenny. The report for data, but I thought I just touched on high points. And I able to find a total of 34 downtown markets, which was quite remarkable given the weather during the winter. We actually had a really bad winter weekend, so, there was a traffic study that we might have a market on that date. So, we wanted to move all of those markets, and we were very successful. And the case of the project to 29,688 shoppers. So, we do have a case where we have who's also professor, who's student, crowd control, and crowd count. So, this is a verified program that we use to judge how shoppers look market. And both out of 544 customers per day, and both the Saturdays averaged 353. And I do believe that the top of my head, that's coming up in the grossest day in the winter, we had over 900 shoppers. So it's not a random crazy number, do not stop people. We do get silver, which is where that goes to trial, and they continues to provide people cauliflower. We did this at the Wednesday market. We learned that these markets are kept at the end of the city shoppers, including local people. And this number comes from this one. We are going to work with market, and after we get also trying to expand the whole history of the city to the center. But this is very key to giving back to structural system, which is about piece of coordination, because we have paid for and have made a decision, which is the board, the travel to the ladies of the market, and the many people at the end of the island trail put it out of the Wednesday, so people out there who put us in the Wednesday, people can do it for free. And we're traveling for free and getting into will be juggling to Oregon City. A lot of families do that. It's really fun for the kids. And this is the parking. I like collecting doing this. Is this the kind of part you want to do? But also, people create about the website and tell people about it. That's a really great benefit of living in Oregon City that people don't know very much about. So, we kept getting together week by day, so we found we kept motivated down, we were motivated down, and quite a few people did, because the weather was very busy, particularly in winter mornings. And I really appreciated they left open in the summer evenings. It really made it accessible, which was wonderful. We had flexible business conventions, like the customer parking after fair play during the midweek markets and all day during the winter markets. So that's working with them, we're very appreciative of that, and we are working well with them. Obviously, SAP do a call to total of 4 cars during the 11 months of the markets. Certainly, we think that we're called already in the first market.
the enforcement markets settled in the winter, under the kingdom I was able to take off the market bags after each winter market on a Saturday, and then I would drink them out in the town became enforcement round and sometimes Tuesday. It's not bad, because I didn't have to pay them to come down there and take those bags off. So that was a good thing. In general, to the incentive market shoppers, at the house market, we received a grant for one season's markets, and we were able to match Oregon Trail toppers up to $5 for the Wednesday market. But we had very out, I think it was September last year. I did a great early Friday group and I had a recording with $1,000 for the winter market, which was really terrific to see, a local organization like that come up and build it, and it was very beneficial to us who experienced shoppers during winter markets and receiving an extra $5 every time they came to shop. And we actually collected evidence of appreciation to the Rotary Club for those customers, and I would include them in their monthly reports to the foundation who wanted to know how that funding was going and how many people were coming, etc. The part of this entire was received a grant from the Foundation. They chose to spend for 2,500 at the Wednesday markets, and this was actually beneficial for the Pioneer Centre and the people that received all these wonderful fresh fruits and vegetables and others. I think it went to the Rose Memorials and also the free lunches that they do at the Pioneer Centre there. I've got a benefit of the market and especially the families who are very grateful for it. Well, constantly, partly, every season we work with People's Heritage and Collections Department, and these young vendors were sent to work at both the Wednesday and the Saturday winter market. In addition, they are regularly volunteer fair community at both these markets for a total of 519 hours during the urban markets. They have provided a good cross-section group of food products with only seafood and hood-level fruit coming from the fair. The total sector market apart were very local in our farms. Several big markets will find farms that local where they come up from Central Willamette Valley, Southern Willamette Valley, and they're in all the markets. But our market actually has a lot of more local people in it, local vendors, local farmers. Tourist canvassed indicated they would be planning again for the downtown markets and were pleasantly surprised by the amount of business generated, particularly at that winter market, which luckily, as I said, benefited from the best of the winter weather. The first market yesterday had 6 food dinners by local chefs and farmers. Lady Bugatti was one of them that came. And made free and available 13 spaces for non-profits at these markets. And the Quakers Community Tourism Band came to most of the Wednesday markets, and will be coming again this year too, starting later this month, I believe, which is a great asset for the city because tourists come to the market and then they can see before them this great array of materials and publications they can pick up, which sends them off into the direction of other events. The downtown markets, true to our mission, the market's mission, provided a marketplace for fresh, healthy foods, but at the same time we create a community gathering space and provided opportunities for adults and youth alike to volunteer, and we obviously are continuing that this year. The markets not only provided access to good nutrition, but also supported community building and economic development, attracting hundreds of shoppers each market day to the downtown area. And I also included a sheet, which I did hand in to Michelle Benville at the end of the grant funding, which shows you where the $35,000 was spent. And I think you can see in front of you there's a lot of blank spaces, and that obviously is money that the market itself is picking up, and it's quite substantial. I probably should have added what it comes to, but I would think there's at least another 15,000 that we pay, from the holiday market towards these markets. Markets only never sustainable for quite a few years without grant funding, and we're very appreciative that we got such a great leg up last year, and I feel very supported, and I constantly tell that to my vendors and my customers that Oregon City is really great
about this local food movement, and we are very blessed to have such great city leaders. Both staff and city leaders have been wonderful. All the departments, in fact, are very supportive of the market. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer as much as I can.
Are there any questions? I'll make a comment that you've got some quite big goods there too. Rhubarb probably is supposed to be tart, and you actually have some bakers that make it tart, and I appreciate that.
I have pictures and photographs of you purchasing them. I'm going to put them up on the website. It's at the market.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
John, that was a couple of years she was recognized as Assistant of the Year by the city, and the tremendous work and commitment that you put in, and the years of work that you have, I realize that, but it always takes a person like you to get something like this moving. You've done a great job. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're going to go into our regular agenda now. Are there any things that need to be dealt with separately on the agenda?
I know.
Oh, excuse me. You're ready to do that now. Okay.
I want to thank everybody for giving me a few minutes here, Nat. I wasn't prepared to say a whole lot, and I don't want to get into all the legalities of these things in that, but there's, I'm just validating what James has put here, and I'm part of the committee of what they call appropriate enforcement of motor vehicle laws and that, and a lot of us have been doing a lot of research and looking through the statutes and connecting all the dots, and we're trying to put it together where we can all congruently come together and figure out why this is and what's going on, and the whole ball laughs. There's one thing I will say, I usually like quotes because it's like a picture of 1,000 words, and one that I do remember is by Desmond James. It says that the commotion of the truth is in direct proportion to the lie that has been fed to the people long enough where the truth is totally ludicrous and the speaker's a raving lunatic. So if I sound like a raving lunatic, you'll probably know why. But just really simply, I just want to say, hopefully we'll be able to get together down the road here when we have all these dots together, and we can just come out and present it and, see what the problem may be and why some of us think that we don't have to, pay tribute to have the freedom to be able to get in our vehicles or whatever and go where we want to go. One thing I will say, and this is just my own opinion and common sense to me. And maybe someone might disagree, and that's fine. This is what we need to work out. But I always used to wonder, how does it become a privilege for us to be able to go to the store and get groceries for our family, or maybe drive to school to pick up our children on a rainy, bad weather storm, or, even go to the church of our choice, or even travel to government offices to redress our grievances. It's like I see that we have alienable God-given rights that have been completely morphed into a privilege for a lot of people. And I'm not saying that, we should just randomly be able to do what we want. No one has to abide by any rules. You have to have some congruent rules and, foundation for everybody to be able to work together. But there are a lot of dynamics involved with what we're working on, and the issue about the difference between what the commercial term of driving represents to traveling and our private use automobiles or whatever. So hopefully we'll be able to put something together eventually where we can all look at this together and say, hey, okay, what's the difference? How are we going to resolve these issues? Why are we protesting that we shouldn't be able to have to do this and be subjected to that? And I know, some of you think otherwise too, and that's okay. We all have our ideas and stuff, but that's, I guess, why we have these, meetings and that. But I just wanted to validate and substantiate pretty much what you just put here. And again, hopefully we'll be able to come together and, figure this out without getting in a big war and stuff and hassling with the police and everything else, because this seems to be the agenda lately. And I'd like to sit there and work things out with people instead of having to hassle and everything. Because we're all a community together. We're all here. We all want our freedoms and our liberties. We want to enjoy our families and do all the things that we normally do without having to be subjected to all these different things. But again, I'm not saying there shouldn't be rules and some things to keep our community together congruently, but there are some things that I see that are way over the top that have been worked into something that shouldn't be. And I'm just like anybody else. I'm looking for my freedoms and rights too. I'm trying to be compassionate and understanding with everybody's issues and things like that too. So, with that being said, again, if we come together again, then maybe we could have something to discuss on these things and that. But so that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I'd like you to just state your name, and I assume you're Oregon City resident also state that.
I'm Oregon City resident, and I've been Jimmy for some time, and I thought I'd come here and where I was, because this issue basically involves the whole state as well, basically as the whole country. And when you look at the whole world, everywhere they have transportation divisions, everybody has licenses and everybody has plates and all these types. So this is a worldwide thing, basically. And it's like something that's been, invented outside this society and everything. And like when somebody comes around and says, hey, I don't have a driver's license, or I don't have to register my car, I couldn't say, you got to be out of your mind. This is just the way it is and stuff. But we have to have the issue to debate on that. And this is something that we need to do civilly, and work these things out, why, these things are the way they are, and how we've come to the type of society we have today in that, because there's a lot of issues in that. The world is a little things that are coming to the table here, but in the whole world, it'll make all these things real insignificant. But in the meantime, we still have to deal with what we're dealing with.
Thank you. And again, for the record, you just said your name.
Yes, go ahead, Susan.
Susan, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your time. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
And with that, are there any things that need to be pulled from the consent agenda, or any other things that we need to deal with? And I see two hands. I'll go first for Commissioner Messina.
I'd like to pull item 8C from the consent agenda, and I would also like to continue it, because there's a conversation I'd like to have with the city attorney and the city manager.
Mr. Mom, did I see your hand?
That's not the same call. I would like to also reinforce pulling 8C and then 8B and 8F.
C, B, and F?
Yes.
Any other things that anybody wants to pull?
I didn't get a call.
We'll proceed then with the public hearings, which we have had any, and therefore we'll go into general business. And we have before us to do the pre-concept plan adoption process. Our staff person is going to speak into this one o'clock.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. At our last meeting on June 15th, we were discussing the Beaver Creek Road Concept Plan that, as you recall, was appealed to the Land Court of Appeals. That was remanded back to the city. We've been working with Metro to amend Title IV Industrial Lands Map, which has taken place. During the public testimony at that meeting, the question was brought of whether the Metro ordinance was appealed or not. We were not made aware of any appeal by Metro. So we went back and our city attorney talked with Dick Benner from Metro, their attorney, and we did receive some clarification that the Metro ordinance amended several sections, documents, functional plan that Metro utilizes, and that was done as part of their periodic review process. And when it's done through periodic review, an objection was moved and filed. Objections are made to the Department of Land Conservation and Development. We were not made aware that those objections were made. So we did talk with Metro staff concerning what the objections were that were raised. So we have brought back our recommendation to address the remand issue. And they're really, what we kind of really see our three is we could remand it back to the Planning Commission and start the public hearing process right now. We've proposed remanding it back to the Planning Commission and waiting until the Department of Land Conservation and Development issues their staff report with their findings concerning the periodic review and objections that have been raised. The third option would be to table this matter until all appeals have been exhausted, and then we would come back and request remand back to the Planning Commission to address the issues that we had identified earlier.
At one point, will this be an action item before us in terms of which of those routes you want to go?
The recommendation was to remand it back to the Planning Commission and wait, and we will not hold any public hearings until Department of Land Conservation has issued their staff report, and we've had a chance to review that.
Any comments? Okay. Do you have any other direction from us?
And I think there
Okay,
were,
we're going to the floor. Elizabeth Lindsay, please come forward, and Terry Murray, please come forward. Yes, you are.
I forgot to give you my hand up.
Do you have an extra one for the city recorder?
You can have my copy.
Thank you.
Concept plan because it had that it could give good paying, clean, green jobs close to home to people in that area. I spent a lot of time thinking in this direction before I realized that there was work going on outside of the planning committee that was going to lead to having extremely high densities, high traffic flows on the overloaded Beaver Creek Road without any increase in the capacity, no schools for all these new homes, and no green storage, just the greenwash. So I wanted to give some background on some of the aspects of this. This is an enlargement of the map that I gave you. And the way to show is what we are talking about. So we have the Beaver Creek Road right here, and we have the community college here and the high school, and then we have the Concord neighborhood down here across from the blue. So for many years, Raven City has had 50 acres of campus industrial land. This is a yellow land here. And it also had a little bit more of county employment land, which is this little bit of green, about 13 acres. And for many years, Raven City also, the county had an neighborhood, that's the blue down here. The the city did not think that these 50 acres of mostly industrial and a little bit of employment land was enough industrial land to meet its needs. And it also wanted more industrial land across from the college. So in the year 2002, the city went to a metro at one of its processes to expand the urban growth boundary and asked that this program be brought in to the urban growth boundary so that the city would have adequate industrial land. And that's 245 acres. And then in 2004, so 2 years later, the city felt that it needed yet more industrial land. So it asked for 63 more industrial acres. That's the orange area right here. So this is a combination of pre-existing lands in these two pink and orange areas. When the previous plan was developed, it only planned part of the metro designated industrial lands as industrial. And the plan is AQ and the map that shows where this industrial land is. It goes down to right here. And you can see on the map that there was 75,000 homes that were made, and those are the LV, which is the employment village on the Main Street. So those are both, these are like 2 to 5 story retail areas in here. And then we have these high density residential areas in the this one and this one. So that all up to here. So, we can see that in the northern industrial land, this cross section, so you can see that the regional, lines for the power cables are in these corridors here. These are very major, power corridors. And they, can't be built, this is on the map, you can see that this is the buildable land. So here we have all this unbuildable land. And then we have a canyon right here, and a natural gas easement, and some other unbuildable land. This is from the slopes, and this might be from the wetlands. So what we find is in the northern part of the concept plan, we have a lot of unbuildable land. And when we look at it in total, we see that there's actually maybe just 4 parcels that are a little bit big that could be used for industrial. And then we have something that's very chopped up and piecemeal. And we see that the very best industrial land that was brought in, the part that's flat and contiguous and it's not broken up, is being devoted to other uses. The Florence Court of Appeals remanded the Beaver Creek Road concept plan back to the city strictly based on looking at the industrial aspects of the problem. There were other problems they deferred to the future, but they agreed that way too little industrial land was being planned when they compared what is required by the metro industrial rules that this was designated under. In addition, the city has a very low jobs to housing ratio, and there are a lot of people in the city and very few jobs, so it's almost a commuter city. And so this plan, the reason that the state agreed that Oregon City could get so much new industrial land was because the city claimed that it needed some help to get its tax basis strengthened so that, the businesses pay a lot more taxes and use less services, and residents use more services and pay less taxes. So the city needed to get into balance so it had local jobs, and so people didn't have to all commute out of the city and pay their and have the businesses pay taxes elsewhere. So it's the city's best interest to use this unique opportunity to improve its structure in terms of business and housing, and also to honor its commitment to the community, because the community was thinking that we're taking expanding, and we also have the airport and golf course. People didn't really like these getting switched over to being in the city, but the city was making a promise that we're going to use this for something wise when we bring it into the urban growth boundary. So if it's not really needed for the reason that was being said, then it ought to be restored back to its rural designation. The errors that were made that the court recognized of putting too much land that's industrial into the retail and commercial use should not be recycled back to the planning commission, because that wouldn't correct the errors that the court saw, and it also wouldn't correct the fact that the Civil Advisory Committee had many officials on it. It had 3 positions for citizens, but normally there was only 1 citizen there because all the citizen positions were never filled, and then the alternates weren't filled either. So this was not really a citizen commission. And the citizens consistently expressed dissatisfaction with this plan. On the second page I gave you is a survey that the city staff made, and you can see that 62% of city residents and 67% of Taylor residents rated the concept plan less than acceptable. And in a petition that was available on the night of the last open house, 70% of the attendants of the open house signed a petition opposing the concept plan. That's the one I gave to Mayor Neely. So you can see all the signatures that are there. And they have reasons. So different people might have different reasons, but very common reasons were the impact to the roads, because Beaver Creek Road was not going to be expanded, and my son was going to be so grand that no one would leave the property, so they didn't need to fix the road. And they weren't going to have the schools, the congestion and the costs. Those were the main reasons that people were opposed to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Outside the city of Oregon City, inside the urban growth boundary, and I wasn't here just to be a human easel tonight. I am here on behalf of Rose Holden. Ms. Holden is involved in planning a charity golf tournament for the Portland Police Bureau Sunshine Division. She was not aware that this was on the agenda this evening. She's asked me to make 2 statements on her behalf. First of all, she supports the staff recommendation that the Beaver Creek Road concept plan be remitted to the Planning Commission for the limited purpose of addressing the protection of industrial lands and transportation, utility and service adequacy, and that public hearings will not commence until the Department of Land Conservation and Development staff report has been issued. She was not aware of the second recommendation that Mr. Conkle made. She asked to go on record as supporting the printed recommendation. She also has asked that if the Commission is not inclined to agree with the printed staff report, that this meeting be set over for 2 weeks, or the decision be set over for 2 weeks to allow her to be heard on the record.
Thank you.
Well, Dan Holiday, will you come forward too? I actually have Dan Holiday first.
Does he go first?
You go first, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Christine Kaczynski, unincorporated Clackamas County. It's been almost 5 years since Oregon City began work on Beaver Creek Road concept plan. In all these years, the city has failed to demonstrate this land is needed for industry. 2 weeks ago, I gave testimony stating the many businesses that have looked at this land only to consistently turn it down. For many reasons, the largest of which is the lack of infrastructure. The fifth part of Beaver Creek to the major transportation corridor is simply non-existent. And people will not be for the next 50 years or more because there will never be enough money to build the massive road system needed to service this industrial site. In my application to Metro on February 17, 2011, I wrote that I believe the statewide planning goals have been violated. The decision for adopt Metro Ordinance 10-1244 was an error because concerned and affected citizens were not notified that the process was going on, nor that changes were proposed for their local community. I then recommended the part of Metro Ordinance 10-1244, which changes the growth concept designation of the Beaver Creek Road concept from lands from industrial to residential, should be remanded to Metro until they allow citizen involvement that would provide them with the necessary full perspective about the matter. Metro's latest intent to change this growth concept design type from industrial to residential is simply a bait and switch. This land in Beaver Creek was brought in largely to provide land for industrial use as specified type of land needed under ORS 197-298. The proposed map amendment seems to be endorsing a bait and switch. It is to bring the land in on one basis and then rezone it to another, in this case from industrial to residential. The residents of the areas participated in the decision to bring these lands in for industrial use. The correct and legal remedy is for Metro to take the land out of the UGB entirely. Please ask yourselves, are you satisfied with this concept plan Part Luna has ruled as faulty? I ask you, the City Commission, to not allow this bait and switch. What Metro has done is illegal and unethical. I don't think you want to be guilty of the same crime. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
To start with, we have to understand that this has been talked about for a long time. I campaigned on one of my campaign issues was bringing this land into the urban growth boundary to provide for industrial jobs, in conjunction with what was then planned to be the new high school and the community college and all of that sort of thing. And to say that there's been a lack of public involvement is just a little bit disingenuous. There has been massive amounts of public involvement, public meetings, gatherings, metro hearings, ad nauseum. We spent between Metro and Clackamas County and the City of Oregon City upwards of $1 million developing this plan. And to suggest that LUBA has sent it back in its entirety is not true. LUBA remains stuff as a matter of record all the time. They typically say, here, city, you fix what you did. And that's what the staff recommendation is to send it back to the Planning Commission and let them work through those 3 or 4 issues that there may be a problem with and deal with it after LUBA has presented their report in September, is that right? So I'm here in support of the staff report to do that. The thing from the political standpoint that you need to remember is all of you, if we think of the city as a glacier, all of you are one single snowfall in a season. And so, and so you can't go back and say, we're going to start over from scratch. We have to build on the things that have come before us. So I encourage you to think of that in that kind of viewpoint, that you have to take the stuff that's come before you and work the best you can with that, and you can't just start over every time. You can't start from the beginning every time something happens that you don't like. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a comment on other conversations tonight, because I was here at the same time that Ben Harley was involved in this process. A lot of the things that deviated from the industrial land designation were in response actually to residents in Oregon City. People in the Caulfield neighborhood objected to industrial lands coming directly across the street from Beaver Creek, and so there was an attempt to have a gradation from residential to general employment to industrial. And that's what we look at. I mean, the planning commission is going to look at that, and that's fine. I did want to, because we had a spokesperson here representing Rose Holden, I did want to make a comment there. Her discussions in terms of residential development was to have residential development for home-based businesses, so it still was a job creation type of activity. That's just a quick piece of the history that went into this decision making. That doesn't mean that things won't change in this process, and they may well change in this process, but there was input from the community that actually led to the kinds of home future zoning that we've envisioned in this particular plan. We'll revisit. That's what this is about. Anybody else want to make any comments? Just want to see it.
Thank you. I guess listening to all the comments, there's a couple of things I'm still not clear about. Well, how long these objections have been filed, and it's going up to LCDC. How long is that process supposed to take? How long could it hypothetically take? Maybe Bill can answer that also.
We're estimating October or November. Early LCDC makes its decision as it currently is, as DLCD currently anticipates it. They should have staff report out September 14th. LCDC should consider the objections in October at their October meeting. Assuming they say yes to what Metro's done here, there's a chance for a Court of Appeals case, which could add another year, possibly even longer. It's not a land use case, so it's not a short time frame. It could be, even 2 years in that process, with potential for a Supreme Court review after that. The Supreme Court may be unlikely. It's hard to tell. They only take 10% of the cases that appeal them. That's if LCDC says yes. If they say no, there are a couple different things they could do. They could approve portions of the work task and remand portions. They could send the entire thing back, and that would extend things even longer. So, it's a difficult question to answer given the different permutations and things that are completely out of our control or LCDC's control, such as who appeals and what happens. But we should have an answer from LCDC at least in October of this year.
And I guess, Tony, the next question I would have for you is, as a hypothetical matter, the objections could be sustained. That's a possibility. And I'm just wondering how much, if we were to take your recommendation, how much staff time do you think would be involved in remanding this to the Planning Commission, even if they did, held off on holding public hearings?
I guess it's difficult to estimate until we start going through. A lot of work's been done. A lot of it is putting in decisions that the commission has already made, such as updating the system development charges for transportation. That we're going to be adding those back. So that work's already done. It's just a matter of getting it into the record, getting it readopted to show compliance. There's some just additional findings and work that needs to be addressed. It's probably, in doing the staff report and the work associated with the background data, it's probably, a good few weeks.
Okay. Now, since I don't know the details of this case, Luba remanded on several issues.
They remanded on one.
Luba remanded on one issue. Okay, and that was the industrial lands issue?
Correct.
And so that went to Metro. Metro changed the designation to conform to our plan. That's what's being objected to now to LCDC. Okay. So I guess the risk from our perspective is that we would have staff work on a lot of this stuff only to have the objections sustained and then have to go kind of undo or redo some of what staff has worked on. And so, that's kind of the scarcity of resources stress we face. Is there work that we can do that we would do with either outcome and we wouldn't run that risk? Is there some work that we can do, and have it be productive, whether the objections get sustained or the objections don't get sustained?
I want to jump in here because I give the classic lawyer answer. It depends. There's a wide range of things that it could do, and it could be if in fact they uphold the objections, it's relatively easily fixable. Just something. Then everything that they do could be worthwhile. If LCDC remands and says, this was brought in for industrial land, and you can't change that, so you're going to have to kick all this out, then anything the staff does would not be of any benefit. So I don't know if you can say that this definitively will be of benefit, but Tony may have a different answer on maybe things he wants to do. Yeah, I agree. There's such a wide range of options, but when you look at the original Luba appeal, we're trying to go back and address some of the issues that were raised before Luba that Luba didn't address. Well, we're going to go back and bolster those. So, worst case scenario is the LCD says not a chance. Then a lot of this work we'd be starting over with the concept plan in the area.
If I might just ask here, because it sounds like what we're going to do is try to find things to support the designation that we have in the Planning Commission. If you look at options with regard to the general employment land and the industrial land together, that is whether changes ought to be made there.
We're not proposing to make changes. We're proposing to make additional findings to support the concept plan that was originally adopted.
Okay. The other question I had is, I'll recognize Commissioner Hoffman in a moment. We did have one annexation, this is called the Hall property. the airport property. Did that come in under a given zoning when it got annexed?
No, because it came in, it maintained the county zoning of future urban 10 acre, because we did not have a zoning.
So nothing, any decisions that are made doesn't impact its status because it doesn't have one. Is that right?
Except we did do the zone change for the Gennon piece, which is right across from Myers Road, where we designated that mixed use commercial 1, which was the closest zoning designation we currently have to what's envisioned in the Beaver Creek concept plan.
Having done so, can that be reversed in the process? Any designation zone that we've actually approved, can that be reversed? Okay.
And I'm gonna, it can't be reversed on a, one-to-one type of basis, but there could be a legislative amendment that could deal with multiple things, so that there may be ways to get at it.
Commissioner Rapp.
Okay, I've got two here that are related a little bit. What would most likely happen if we don't move forward at this time? And what is the crux of moving forward at this time?
We have, we received approval for both South End concept plan and Beaver Creek concept plan for extending our compliance with Metro Title 11 planning requirements. So we received a 3-year extension. So we had till June of 2014 to finish the concept plans and implementing ordinances for those 2 areas. Just based on the potential for appeal and the ability that we do have staff time to work on this now, to start doing some of the background work, it seemed prudent to get the concept plan ready to be adopted again and potentially appealed again, to start working through that process, because 3 years will be here quickly. As they've stated, we're 5 to 6 years into this. This was brought in 2002 and 2004. We just wanted to get this moving, get the staff work done, so that we can start moving this forward. We can certainly delay it until all the appeals are exhausted, and we won't start that. It probably does delay us out a little while, but what we're proposing to do is adopt the concept plan, re-adopt it, exhaust the appeals, then we're going to come back and write the zoning code that implements it. It takes time.
Okay, but then if your appeals come back, if everything we're expecting, we're going to be starting over again.
That is certainly, if worst case, yes, that is certainly a possibility.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think just because of the hypotheticals, I'm inclined to table this until the appeals are done. I'm not 100% there yet. I think I would appreciate more public comment on this, and if there's been a request to continue this for more public comment, I think as far as I'm concerned, that's where I'm inclined to go, because this is a tough one. This is a tough decision, and I mean, if the commission wants to vote tonight, I think tabling is where I'd probably go, but like I said, I'm not 100% there, and I would appreciate hearing what people have to say.
Well, presumably we're going to, are you going to come back to this again to address this issue? I think.
Sorry, to address which issue?
Well, he suggested the appeal process takes its course. That's not what you're suggesting. That's one of the alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple alternatives. Those are the 3 basic ones: is move forward right now, move forward once the DLCD report is out, or wait until all appeals exhausted, and then we would come back with a request with direction on how to proceed.
Personally, I would prefer to go for the second option, but I don't know if we're ready to make a decision on that at this point.
Commissioner Mum?
Commissioner Mum.
I think we spent a lot of time, staff has spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of money. I think we need to just continue moving forward and deal with the appeals as they come down. It's 2 weeks. We've asked staff to do a lot more, spend a lot more time on other projects. If it's a 2-week project, personally, I say let's move forward.
So you're asking for option 1, 2, or 3? The second one, is it not?
The recommended one.
Okay. You're going to put forward a motion?
I'll put forward a motion that we accept staff's recommendation to remand Beaver Creek concept plan to the Planning Commission and reopen the record on limited purposes of addressing whatever those issues are. Is that good enough, Bill?
These items, staff report. Remember, in terms of addressing the protection of industrial lands and transportation, utility and service adequacy, and that the public hearings do not commence until the Department of Land Conservation and Development staff report has been issued.
Apparently it wasn't enough. Thank you, Tony.
I'll second. Did you say? I'll second. Discussion, further discussion? Call for the vote?
Commissioner City?
No.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Commissioner?
No.
Commissioner Smith?
No.
Mayor?
Yes. Ayes? 2 in favor, 3 opposed. Motion's at this time.
Motion move to continue this to the next regular city commission meeting.
Second.
So moved, seconded? So moved.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner?
No.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Mayor?
Yes. Passes 4-4. So, we'll see you again. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
And thank you for the comments from the public. Hey, 8:30, sure. Reconvening the meeting. Reports intergovernmental agreement between the City of Oregon and Oregon City of Transportation System plan update on the TGM grant, and our staff person to speak to it is Nancy Fisher.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners and Mayor Neely. This is a really kind of good news for the city. We applied for a TGM grant, which is Transportation Growth Management grant, through the fund that's run by ODOT and I guess it's DLCD, right? And we applied, about a year ago, and we found out last fall that they were going to award us some out. We didn't quite get as much as we asked for, but then I didn't bring it to or announce it at all because we really felt like we needed to work through the IGA because there was some kind of, there's a condition placed on it, and they weren't really going to commit to the money until we had worked through the scope of work. So tonight we get to celebrate because we officially, if you approve this intergovernmental agreement, you will get $215,000 towards our transportation system plan update. The city needs to provide a $30,000 match, and we have budgeted for that in our budget in the 2011-12 transportation system development charge budget. And the reason why we need to update our transportation system plan is because the last one was adopted in 2001, and that's not that long ago, but really a lot of things have happened in transportation planning in the last 10 years, and there have been some changes in Oregon City in the last 10 years, such as our new urban growth boundary areas, which we've been discussing at length tonight, and then there's the new urban reserves. Clearly we've grown quite a bit over the last 10 years. We adopted our new comprehensive plan in 2004, and Metro has, in the most recent 2035 regional transportation plan, there are some significant changes to the kinds of goals for the region and performance standards and how we think about improvements to the transportation system. Is far more using a lot more systems management rather than adding a bunch of lanes and doing things that are very, very expensive. We're really looking at the system in terms of how can we do as much as we possibly can in a very smart way, rather than do things the way we've often done them in the past by adding asphalt. So that's all I really have on this. This agreement sets forth the obligations of both ODOT and City of Oregon City. And then the scope of work is attached to the agreement. That's what will be that's what will be, all the work we'll be doing in the next, we'll be probably wrapping this up in December 2012. And there'll be a fair amount of citizen involvement. We're relying on our Transportation Advisory Committee, and one of their reasons why they are who they are. The Transportation Advisory Committee is to help on transportation system plans, but we'll also be engaging many other individuals and stakeholders in the community, including school districts, including college, including the hospital, including the Chamber of Commerce, Planning Commission, and on and on and on. So we're asking you to approve this so the mayor can sign it, and we can get started. We'll be getting started very shortly on this project, and it'll take a lot of work.
When did the last update on our CSE?
It was adopted in 2001. And we actually did the work. It took us about 2 years to do the work.
Okay. Full disclosure, the amount we're getting is not 215,000, it's 214,900.
Yeah, that's correct.
I just want to make sure that any discussion or a motion?
I might add that we wouldn't have been able to do the TSP update at this time because our Transportation System Development Charge account is really it's not growing right now, and we've got to be very careful about keeping enough money in there for reserves. And so we would have been postponing it because of the lack of resources because of the economy.
I move to approve the IGA between the State of Oregon and the City of Oregon City to complete the Oregon City Transportation System Plan update through Transportation Growth Management Grant Agreement number 27804.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner President Messiah. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Messiah?
Aye.
Commissioner Young? Aye. Commissioner Wong? Aye. Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Henry?
Aye. Passes unanimously. Next is the consent agenda minus what letters were there? I got them. CD and F, which we'll discuss afterwards. Right, here motion on consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Young, and I heard Commissioner Smith first. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Messiah?
Aye.
Commissioner Young? Aye. Commissioner Wong? Aye. Commissioner Smith? Aye. Mayor Henry?
Aye. So before us, we'll deal with C first. And C is the amendment to the agreement, the city prosecutions. Governor, are you prepared to speak? Is he here to speak? This is one of the agenda tonight because it's the first year the contract through cost of living adjustments has reached the $50,000 limit that I have. So a lot of our PSAs for less than that never come to the commission, but that's why this one's there this year, and you haven't seen it in years past. I put it on there because once it hits that 50,000, it automatically goes before you. If there are other questions, though, about the agreement, or there are questions about performance, or any other questions that any of you might have about it, we'd be happy to address those. But I haven't received any before tonight, so if you want us to look into that, we would do that. Here, discussion.
I had a brief conversation with the city manager during the vote, and his advice I will move to table this.
Is that a motion? Yes. I have a motion to table. Is there a specific reason based on other than what he's discussed here?
I wanted to have an executive session discussion on this. The city attorney advised me that this was not executive session material, so I want to table it so I can have the conversations that I want to have with the city attorney and the city manager.
Second. It was converted into a motion by Commissioner President Nocita and Commissioner Smith seconded. Roll call, please.
Mayor, could you have one more moment of discussion that I could? The agreement expired June 30th. The amount of tabling, if we continue just simply to pay the prosecutor and the performance continues as it has, we'll just continue the agreement. I didn't want you or the public to think suddenly as of tonight we no longer have a prosecutor. So we will continue to pay him under the terms of the old agreement until you guys take this back up at a future meeting.
That's fine.
Amended motion for it.
So amended.
Okay. Okay. Is that amended?
Discussion?
Yes.
Because I had also asked this to be pulled, and David and I had a conversation offline too. And you're going to look into the 2 items I gave you, correct? Okay.
And in fact, what I would encourage Commissioner Nocita to do is each of you could send your comments to me tomorrow and share CC your other commission members so we all have the same information. And I'll look into the concerns that are raised, and then we'll get back to you all together.
Okay, thank you.
So the motion moving on to a roll call, please.
Commissioner Nocita?
Aye.
Commissioner Lynn?
Aye.
Commissioner Wong? Aye. Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Lawrence?
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. Now for the minutes of June 15th, 2011.
Mr. Gifford emailed me and asked me, he's not able to be here tonight, and under citizen comment, we had put him as a Oregon City resident or resident of Oregon City, but he was speaking on behalf of his role as the secretary of CIC, so he would like that correction made.
Okay. No problem with that?
Did you want to approve the minutes
As amended, yes.
as amended
Yes.
after review of the tape?
Yes.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Munn, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Nocita?
Aye.
Commissioner Lynn?
Aye.
Commissioner Wong?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Lawrence?
Yes. And the next one is the OICC record license application.
Wasn't there, didn't you pull both of the minutes?
No, I pulled, no.
Oh, okay.
Just one.
Okay.
And mine was F, and they're asking for a liquor license for the, this is a new owner, is that correct?
Yes, new owner.
So, and there are citizens that live directly behind that establishment and have noise problems. So I was wondering if you could help the new owner introduce them to the neighbors back there and maybe come up with a good neighbor plan or something. So we can all do a kumbaya thing together. Have a good neighbor plan?
I will make sure that we talk to the new owners and express the neighbors' concerns of some of the past problems they've had.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, they have neighbor problems without liquor?
They have neighbor problems with or without liquor.
Okay, let's see if we've had the liquors on. Anyway, do we want to go ahead and move this forward?
I want to approve that with the chief's involvement.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Nocita?
Aye.
Commissioner Wong?
Aye.
Commissioner Wong?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Lawrence?
Yes. Passes unanimously. Time for communications. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are a couple of things for you tonight. First, I want to share with you these packets of information that Main Street Oregon City is going to be passing out. They're going to be passing these out to interested investors, potential investors in Oregon City. What I liked about the headline was here, it reminded me of the people that must have came here to begin with on the Oregon Trail. They were thinking the same thing about opportunity when they created this community from scratch. So I want to pass those out to you. Those are copies just for the commissioners to see what Main Street Oregon City is doing to promote the downtown. That's one of their latest promotional pieces. And Lloyd asked me to share that with you, so. The second thing I wanted to mention, I want to call her Nancy Krischer. She's going to give you a short update on the promenade and the public works site information.
Thank you. I wanted to give the commission an update on the work we've been doing with the contractor on the promenade. As you all know, that after we completed the historic preservation project there, we've seen quite a bit of damage on the wall caps. It appears as though the wall caps, designed as they were to match the previous historic construction, are vulnerable on that edge to chipping. And unfortunately, the people that use the promenade, many of them are mistreating those wall caps. They're being used for skateboarding, and people are climbing over and gouging their heels into it. And it's almost like they're trying to make them look bad. But needless to say, we're working hard with the contractor because the contractor is not pleased with the outcome. And we're also working with the State Historic Preservation Office to come up with a solution for making them less vulnerable. And there's one set of wall caps that is way at the south end by the VFW parking lot. That cement material appears to be softer than the remainder of the wall caps, and those they will likely be replacing, just carte blanche. But in the meantime, since those are ones they're planning to replace, they're going to be doing some experimenting with different treatments on edges. We're thinking about grinding the edges, different, it could be a bevel, it could be rounded, and they're going to be experimenting with a couple of different types of treatments to see which might be the most successful. And so you might see those kinds of activities going on there as early as next week. So that's an update on that. And then the other thing is we had a work session with you in July. No, this is July, in June, on the Public Works Center, and you asked us to summarize the results of that. As you know, we got it down to 10 sites, and then you would also ask Chris Dunlop to prepare a fair amount of information about acreage, available acreage, zoning. It's all summarized here, the real market value, assessed value, tax rate, OC tax revenue, etc. As you may recall, we talked about those things. And this is a little small, so if you want me to send you an electronic copy, just send me an email. But I thought I'd just pass these out to you so that you can take them home with you and look at them at your leisure. That's all.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Because the pieces that I brought to David were from here, but this end of the promenade, and those pieces that just flaked off in my hand. So I'd be concerned that...
We don't think I think that trying to replicate a kind of a material from a long time ago is difficult to do. I am quite certain you can gouge at them. It's a soft cement material.
But I would be putting my hand across the top.
Well, I've looked at probably every single one of them, and I think they are vulnerable to damage. Definitely. And that's what we're trying to do is figure out, especially the edges. And the edges are prone to being more vulnerable because of the location and the structure. And also the fact that there's sharp edges and people are roughly so.
Nancy, I think what the commissioner might be referencing is that some of the pieces she brought they didn't appear to be damaged from vandalism. They look like they maybe had too much water or something in it, and they just were scaling off.
Yeah.
But I think you already addressed those early on with the contractor. Right. That's my recollection. So it was a different kind of...
And there are some deeper gouges that we'll have to do some patching on.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and then we're also going to be looking at more patrol and maybe even cameras out there. Kind of sad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not uncommon, actually, in other cities I've worked where we've had a setting similar to that. Vandalism is sometimes a problem. When we actually ended up putting some surveillance cameras in there, we caught a couple of the culprits, and suddenly the problem vanished. So it may end up that we're in that situation, but we're going to test it first, I guess. So
What I wanted to maybe stress here, though, is the contractor's cooperating incredibly, because he's very proud of his work. I mean, this guy has done a lot of prominent projects throughout the state, and there's no way that he's shirking any responsibility.
Yeah.
He's working with us, and the engineering consultant's working with us. We brought in a second opinion from another masonry contractor and a structural engineer, and everybody so far is just working together and trying to brainstorm and come up with solutions.
Thank you, Nancy. I wanted to ask Tony Conkle to give us an update, report on the sidewalks and street trees. You remember that issue was brought to the commission, a citizen complaining a few months ago. So, Tony?
Thank you. So what we've been doing is we created a working group within the city with planning, public works, code enforcement, to start looking at the tree ownership issue and the sidewalk tracking that does occur. I think we've probably reminded you before that what this originates from is compliance with Americans with Disabilities Act. If you have more than a 1/4 inch lip associated with a lifting cracked sidewalk, it is considered a tripping hazard, which needs to be addressed. And per the Oregon City Municipal Code, the property owner is responsible for their frontage. That includes the sidewalk and the planter strip and the street tree that may or may not be located there. So we've gone back and we've looked at what our existing policy is, how we address that. In the planning department, we work with the property owner to identify the tree, identify a solution. There is no planning fee associated with that assistance. Any work in the right-of-way, the applicant would still need to obtain a right-of-way permit, but it's currently at a reduced cost for that right-of-way permit. And moving forward, we're looking at other alternatives to just replacing a sidewalk, whether that could be the installation of pavers, cutting out a section of the sidewalk if the root damage is on the edge, grinding the sidewalk or grinding the root. They're all very site-specific remedies, and in some cases, none of those may be a remedy, and the tree needs to be addressed or the sidewalk needs to be replaced. We've also looked at, and we currently do this, is where we have older subdivisions with planter strips that are less than our current standard. We offer the option to put the tree behind the sidewalk in an easement to prevent further damage when that sidewalk's replaced, as well as you could also pay a fee in lieu of for that tree. So we're identifying alternative methods to try and accommodate existing trees or cracked sidewalks or different materials, different sidewalk locations. So we're going to make all those options available moving forward. And then we are also looking at reviewing the street tree list of approved trees. We're primarily seeing this. The city didn't start approving street tree plans until 2004. Prior to that, what we're seeing is some of the older subdivisions that started with the 2.5 foot planter strips are where we're seeing a lot of the issues. We've increased that to 4.5 feet right now. We'll be reviewing the street design as part of our transportation system plan update as well. Whether those planter strips, if we can get them larger or not, will probably be a discussion during the transportation system plan and the design of the local street networks.
Tony, are you going to be, Mr. Mayor, are you going to be addressing the neighborhood association with some of these solutions? Because some of these remedies, first of all, I really appreciate the work they're doing, because they're looking at, I mean, we've talked about all kinds of latex, fake sidewalk materials, and how to, I just think it's really wonderful that you guys have gone in there and looked at all these different solutions, and I really like the fact that you're allowing people to put, in some cases, the trees back behind there and have some discretion on how to deal with it. And thankfully, because the commission did update its code, the problem isn't going to get worse. And as time goes on, each one of these comes to you. Eventually, I hope we'll have them all checked off the list, and there won't be any more aggrieved citizens.
We are meeting, we're planning to meet with neighborhood associations and the CIC. We have one neighborhood association confirmed so far, and that's Caulfield in August. We'll be continuing to do that outreach to the neighborhood associations, the CIC, and then we are planning to put some information in the trail news coming up.
A question, when you say older neighborhoods, what do you mean older?
What you see is some of the subdivisions in the 90s, where we had that smaller planter strip design. Those trees.
One thing I wanted to, I work in Northeast Portland, which has a lot of this issue, and I see a lot of sidewalks where they go in, instead of taking out the whole block, take out the two, and so you end up with a triangular. It's really fun for hopscotch. So you might.
We're open to solutions.
And like I said, a lot of these fixes are going to be very site specific, based on how much damage has occurred, how much potential damage there is. And, we still have, since it is a public right-of-way, public sidewalk, we do still need to maintain some engineering standard to the sidewalk replacement. So we have to be careful in terms of, if you just replace a very small section, are you really addressing the problem, or, it's such a small area that the sidewalk's going to fail because there's just not enough area to pour an appropriate sidewalk.
Okay, thank you.
I think one thing that I had suggested before, where in fact you had substantial damage that require the replacement of all or most of the sidewalk in front of residents, it's very expensive. And whether we could have some kind of remediation where the property owner comes up with a fourth of the payment, the city replaces it, and then the remaining payments be put on a utility bill to soften the impact of a large payment, probably with a bit of interest or something to cover the cost. And in our much older neighborhoods, where some of these sidewalks are really in bad shape, this might be a method of addressing what might be a real encumbering cost to the resident. Something that you might want to consider.
You can certainly look at financing options if they're available. We'll put that on the list. I would have a little bit of a concern of identifying the city as going in and doing the work.
Whether they do the work or if we're mandating it to be done, we might want to approve contractor, and still the payments might be made up front by the city for the total expense of the thing. I'm not saying, I didn't mean the city necessarily goes in and repairs the sidewalk, but arranges it for it to be repaired, and then have some mechanism where the price and so on is up front.
Certainly look at that.
City manager, other things?
Yeah, just one more thing. I think all of you know Chuck Clemens from the Clackamas Community College, and I know many of you, Chuck was with us when we went to talk to Concordia the first time, and then the mayor and I have had meetings with Clackamas Community College officials, and Chuck has been instrumental in helping with those. And he's also a fellow Rotarian, and it's just been a delight for me and my staff to work with, such a positive community supporter. And we learned today that Chuck fell and hit his head over the 4th of July and is in serious condition in the hospital and was in a coma. I don't know if I have any more information on that, but our thoughts are with Chuck tonight and his family, so we're hoping for the best. That's all I have.
I've got a few things to report on. I think some of them Commissioner President the city will want to follow up on. We had the meeting organized by Climate. I was there as an ex officio person, but they were talking about the light rail plans and required right-of-ways and easements for light rail going over the Columbia River crossing. I'm representing Sophisto because the north-south doesn't involve us. The mayor of Milwaukee, for example, is there as a voting member of this group, as was Commissioner Leininger from the county. One thing that came up was ancillary to this discussion, but it's pretty clear that the funding of the Columbia River crossing is going to have to be in part based upon tolling. And the concern that Commissioner Leininger presented was this going to result in the tolls having even more of an impact on the 205 bridge. They said that would be monitored, but and if it became greater than 5%, some action would be taken, but no action is supposed to be identified at this point. But there was a point that Commissioner Leininger specifically mentioned, and what I would hope is that the tolls are so exorbitant that it's worth a person's time to travel that many miles out of the way, waste the gas and the time to get around it. But that came up with that particular meeting. Associated with light rail was the groundbreaking ceremony on the East Esplanade near, right next to OMSI, for the new light rail going to the Milwaukee. It was a groundbreaking for the bridge. I was there, so of many other elected officials, and Nancy Kretschauer was there as well. It was a very nice event. They had the fireballs out there spraying their beautiful colors of water. I don't know what those dyes do to the environment, but it looked very nice. And it was a great occasion. We did take a couple of moments, Nancy and I, to talk to a major representative of Union Pacific that was there, and expressing our interest in the line coming to Oregon City ultimately. If we were to use the Union Pacific tracks, it would not be a rapid rail system for obvious reasons. But I think one of the main concerns of people who use the Amtrak is really the punctuality of the arrivals and so forth, so you don't necessarily have to wait a half hour. The Cascade is not such a problem, but the Coast Starlight oftentimes gets delayed by hours because of the distance it has to travel, and because of the fact that being a Union Pacific rail, freight has the priority on that. But talking to him about whether certain things can be happen jointly, and he says, well, it's really going to depend upon the policies of the state in terms of what ultimately happens there. But at least we indicated our desire at that particular meeting, pointing out the alternative routes through the municipalities in this area. Those municipalities don't want the light rail, the rapid rail. We do. So, let me get to a couple other points here. I don't know, you didn't bring up our discussions with Sam Adams and the Innovator. Did you want to say something about that? Rocky, you can talk fast. And so I'll pass by that one. There's a couple of meetings that I and Commissioner Nacita attended. One was our next meeting that we talked about, and President Truesdale of Clackamas Community College brought us together for discussions about the employment lands and how they might be used in developing coordination with the college in terms of the programs they involve. There were staff from the community college, and also I don't know if he's school superintendent yet, but Mr. Didway was there as well. Has he? I he's taking over all the responsibilities of that office, and he doesn't have it yet. And we had some initial discussion about the various possibilities that might be there, including ag-industrial support as well at the site. We also had a meeting with two representatives of Beaver Creek Hamlet talking about the urban reserve that extends across Enrici Road, and whether there might be designations in that, that time was going to be a long time probably before that comes into the city, but whether or not we could identify ag industry activities on parcels that are large enough that would support a value-added effort in terms of agricultural production in the area of Beaver Creek. Our discussions were specifically with Norman Green, who is chair of the Beaver Creek Hamlet. He also is chair of the county's planning commission, and also one of the members of the Beaver Creek Hamlet board who owns the small farm. Her name is Connie Hines, and so we've initiated some discussions about, as that area develops, how can we accommodate both the visions of the city of Oregon City and of the Beaver Creek community. So those are two discussions that we talked about having those discussions before, and we've initiated them. I'll kind of go over to the commission president, in particular, if he wants to add anything to what I said on those.
I have a couple of things. Actually, they are kind of a springboard from what the mayor has been talking about. The Amtrak and light rail issue. I want to report that I'm into my second month as an Amtrak commuter now. And on the reliability question, here's my personal survey of Amtrak. In all the times I've been riding it, the outbound train during the evening has never been late. The inbound late. The inbound from Portland during the evening has never been late. The inbound train from Oregon City to Portland has been late. What I would call substantially late, 20 minutes to half an hour on 2 occasions. So if anybody's considering being a commuter, you just have to factor that into account, that you need to build in that potential. I mean, one of the things as far as my own strategy, if I have an appointment and the train just doesn't get there, you can park in that lot for free all day. And when I drive up there, and if I have an appointment in Portland that I see the train's not going to get me there, I will just continue as a commuter in automobile. So, I mean, there's kind of...
no different than my commute.
Yeah. Absolutely. Average to me. Coming for the price, and it's so pleasurable, so relaxing to be able to just watch the world go by from the window of the train. It's been a pleasure so far.
Well, let me just mention something laid down that they have it. I haven't actually, I did take the very once, so I wasn't paying attention. When you look at the especially in downtown Portland, TriMet has time schedules of when the bus is going to arrive, and so you can see if it's late or something. I don't think is there any indication there when the expected arrival time is going to be? I don't think there is.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So it's one thing we might want to look at.
Except you can get as an application on your iPhone.
Wow. Well, if we can do that, then we can put something up there on a video. So he doesn't have to wait 15 minutes to think it might be a half hour late, and he can make the decision.
Not in the inbound train for sure.
Okay.
In the morning.
And that's not too surprising because going longer distance, probably running into more freight troubles than the.
Exactly. I have my own TriMet story, springboard off the light rail issue. In order to get to where I work, I have to get off at Union Station, and then you can get on a MAX train for free up to Lloyd Center. So I'm kind of right outside in front of the adjacent bus station and right across Seal Bridge and up to Lloyd Center, and then just walk to work. Well, the other day, I got onto the MAX train, and we had gotten over the bridge, and the first stop across the Seal Bridge, I was sitting there minding my own business, and all of a sudden I see a cop walking. And I look up, and this cop is from Milwaukee. I say, well, that's interesting. There must be some kind of cooperative arrangements going on here. And we just stopped at the station, and all of a sudden, another cop comes in, and this cop comes in with a dog. And the dog proceeds to, like, go and sniff everybody, and maybe he comes up and sniffs me, and I pet the dog, and the dog passes. We can't pet the dog. And I felt, you can sniff up everybody's leg. Why can't we pet the dog? But then a third cop walks in the door, and I look up and I say, "So you?" It was one of Oregon City's finest, Bob Donovan. It was on the China beat, and I thought it was really interesting.
Did you pet the dog?
Huh?
Did you get to pet the dog?
That's fascinating. I just wanted to get a little insight. I'm really curious about our
Yes. TriMet funds that position in its entirety. In fact, they pay, I want to say it's 108% of the salary and benefits, and that extra percentage over the 100% is for administrative costs. And actually, I talked to Officer Downing this morning, and he has been promoted to acting sergeant there while their current sergeant is on leave. So he's doing a really good job for him. Really well thought of down there, and it's great for Oregon City too, in the fact that when we have problems at the transit center down here, we have all those resources we can call on to come down here and answer our problems. And we do have quite a few problems at the transit center, so it's a good arrangement for the police department and for the community.
It was great to see that. Okay, I would also like to follow up on the mayor's comments regarding our meetings. Specifically for me, the meeting with Mr. Andreen and Ms. Heinz, because I was really fascinated by it. Ms. Williams, our farmers market director, had early in my term as a commissioner educated me on the fantastic potential for economic development with Oregon City becoming kind of like a value-added food processing center for other small farms and dairy folks who are out 213 in Clackamas County. And the whole Willamette Valley, in fact, and that's something that I've always been, very interested in us cultivating and developing that potential. But this meeting was fascinating to me for another reason, because Ms. Huntz talked about kind of like the reverse of that, which was also very fascinating to me. The fact that Oregon City could become a servicing center for the farms themselves in terms of just basics like hay. There's no central place to buy organic hay, for example, for all the people who own horses out in the county, which is a very big industry. Farm implements, I think you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, the fixing of farm machinery, and even large lawnmowers. But I'm really appreciative when I can get into a conversation and someone communicates something to me that just like changes and transforms my thinking. So I appreciate the mayor inviting me to that meeting, because it was very interesting to really kind of build the concept of all the potential. I also did reinforce my interest in doing a visioning process, because what I thought this limited meeting of the four of us represented was how every individual has some really, excellent knowledge to convey. And if you can get the wisdom in each individual and just kind of like make it a collective and build a big picture of all the wisdom in each individual, you can really accomplish some really neat things. And the way I've learned about the visioning process, the way it was done in places like Beaverton, one of the actual goals and objectives of a visioning process is to kind of capture that knowledge of individuals and put it into like a collective, a big picture. So I'm very interested in advocating for that, both on the urban level of the urban renewal district and to the extent we can, the city and wide as well. And I look forward to our conversations, particularly next week at the urban renewal retreat on that question. So, those are my comments.
Just one follow-up on that. She also was pointing out potential uses of the areas in the easements for the power lines too, that where equipment that they're not permitted, I guess, is stored on their own land because of the size of the land that they use. They had some mechanism of storing equipment perhaps in those easements. I presume they wouldn't require sheds or something because I think that would be prohibited. Even though these lands can be used for building purposes, there's still potential use of them for employment-related activities. Okay, and Commissioner Smith wants to say something.
I'll just share a little bit about a meeting that I attended with our mayor and city manager on the 24th, and this was a meeting that I thought about happening for a long time, and was very exciting. We met with Sam Adams at the City Hall in Portland, and to discuss the Ermitinger House. And I mean, our mission really to go there was to get the City of Portland on board and starting this process to restore the house, and kind of sharing our reasoning for why the City of Portland has an obligation to be a part of that, and was thrilled, I think, with the outcome. And so in the coming months, I think that partnership will move forward, but the mayor of Portland is very excited about, kind of helping us in that mission, and, there's a possibility that some funding could come of that. There's a possibility of staff support, and even some future events possibly planned between the two cities that we could talk about. It was just a very good meeting, and I think we all three left there excited about the possibility. I think the possibility what could come of that partnership, and I think, I just wanted to leave there with a feeling that the City of Portland was on board, and I think I left there with more than that. And the great thing is that the mayor of Portland was very obvious, has a great interest in history, and even kind of asked questions about other possible paths that we have taken in terms of support. When he talked about, well, have you talked to Hudson Bay Company? And so he's really asking some questions and really kind of showing an interest in his support and reaching out to other agencies too. And part of that preparation for that meeting, I actually went to the Historical Society a couple days before the meeting, and I just wanted to kind of refresh my memory of their position on the history. And so I walked in there at first as just a general, person off the street, and as soon as I walked in the door, there was the coin. And so they have the coin. We can all, question whether or not it's the real coin. It's in the lobby, and I was excited to see that because I knew it was there, but hadn't looked at it for a while. So I took some pictures of that, read the story. But what surprised me, well, I guess it didn't surprise me, when you read the story that's put on a plaque right near this coin, it talks about the very well-known story that everyone knows about how the City of Portland got its name. And the problem is almost everywhere you look, no one really talks about where it took place. And, with history, it's hard to know exactly those things sometimes. So I kind of was walking around, and any staff member at the Historical Society, my mission was to, get a feeling for what their story was, what they were saying, because if it didn't match with what we were saying, that would be a problem. And so I just kind of casually asked people in the lobby, well, where did this take place? Well, I think it took place in Oregon City. And most everyone said Oregon City, and most everyone said a house in Oregon City. Actually, they all said that. So I thought, okay, that's good. That's really good. But I went upstairs to the library, and they were really excited because I was, really trying to find more information on the specifics of the claim toss. And so I had piles of books that they brought and newspaper clippings, which I took lots of photocopies of. And, as far as I can reference, the reference is basically a house in Oregon City, and that's it. And at least from my point of view, if everyone in Portland and everything in the history points to a house in Oregon City, well, when you come to Oregon City, we point to that house. So I think it's pretty exciting. I just am so thankful for your work, David, too, in getting that set up, and our park staff and Scott. I just am so excited that meeting took place. I was kind of making the comment that I wish it would have happened a lot sooner, but there were certain reasons that needed to happen now, and I think that we have some massive traction right now in moving this project forward, and I think that we're going to, with the help of the City of Portland, I think we're going to be able to get even more partners on board and pushing this forward, and it's so exciting. So now instead of driving by the house, in fact, I rode with the mayor to Portland for that meeting, and when I got back, I came into the City Hall because David didn't come back to City Hall, so I wanted to come and brag. I was really excited, and then I had some phone calls to make about it. I wanted to tell some people on the phone, and so I was wandering around in the parking lot. And since I was on the phone, wandering around the parking lot, I walked over to the house, and I guess in the last week or so, in that house, I don't feel a worry anymore. I feel like it's going to be taken care of. So it's really exciting, and I appreciate everyone's work on that.
And it's good news.
Yeah.
And our staff have already been meeting, discussing with Portland staff, and then next week we have what I've been calling the Earnest Summit. The precursor to the actual elected official summit, because it's just the staff level folks from all of the elected officials that might be able to influence the outcome. So we're still pressing ahead, just like we haven't missed a step. And I think we'll just keep the momentum going until we get it done.
You got it. I had you down listed here under agenda, but not on the floor currently. I don't know if you put it on. Well, on the floor, she's not there.
I wanted to thank Tony. I sent out that email today asking if we could put on the agenda next time the cottage housing stuff, and within 2 hours I had it was already done.
Great.
I guess I have one more comment, but do you have anything to say? The comment was that at the groundbreaking for the light rail bridge, one of the main speakers there was Mayor Adams, and he was looking at people in the audience who were elected officials, and he pointed at me, the mayor of Milwaukee. People's names all the time, because the mayor of Milwaukee is actually sitting on the dais behind him. He quickly corrected himself, excuse me, they called John McLaughlin. John McLaughlin, and I was in there from 1850, so he was referring to that. Anyway, with that, I guess we're going to actually, we're not coming back, we are going to an executive session, I'll announce it, as pursuant to ORS 192.66028 to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. This commission meeting is adjourned.